My name is Megan James, and I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to the Megan James Show. So the purpose of our show is to provide personal development, ideas, advice, and tips, as well as business help and advice to entrepreneurs. We are so passionate about helping our local businesses, so most of our interviews are actually with local successful business owners. And when I say local, they're local to the Kernersville, Triad, North Carolina area. So we want to boost the local economy as well as provide real actionable advice for you guys, our listeners, the future and current business owners listening to this show. So without further ado, here's our show. Hey guys, so today I had the opportunity to sit down with Jerome Maldonado. I'm going to save the bio because it's the first thing we get into. If you don't know this guy, you should. He is a one in a million, and he's the one you need to know when it comes to anything real estate, building enterprises, and just being overly passionate about your main hustle. And even learning how to build side hustles, learning a true mentality around success. This guy understands it, he gets it, and he pitches so many nuggets of wisdom. Guys, this is one episode you need to stay tuned for. Make sure you check out the episode notes. Like I do with every single episode, I summarize everything that happened in this podcast episode in our episode notes. I also have all the contacts for Jerome Maldonado. So if you want to get in touch with this guy, check our episode notes. If you want to follow him, which I highly recommend, check him out. He's got an Instagram, fam, and everything is in our episode notes. So without further ado, here's our guest. All right. So I'm just going to jump right on in. Could you start off by giving us your name, your professional background? For those who don't know you, tell us who you are.
So my name is Jerome Maldonado, and to tell the audience a little bit about me, for those of you guys who don't know me, I'm a 25-year plus entrepreneur, and I say that with all respect for the word entrepreneur. You know, I think there's a lot of people that claim to be entrepreneurs, but they've never really ran the course and really developed companies. You know, they do some smaller online stuff and they're working in that direction. But I started out in network marketing over 25 years ago, built a distributorship of over 3,000 distributors, and became the top 30 money earners in the entire company with over 300,000 distributors. And so was a trainer for that company, and the FTC shut us down in 1997. And I went out and got involved in traditional business. We created our own sales company, door-to-door telemarketing sales company. And I left that in Texas to come back to New Mexico in 1998 and finish my education, my degree. And in doing so, with that entrepreneurial living heavily inside of me, I started a construction company on accident. Really, I was never really in the construction trade other than laboring while I was in school prior.
Nice.
But I got involved in construction, and it ended up being a very lucrative business. And because of my marketing background, where I had spent 4.5 years in sales and marketing, I was able to go out and create a 7-figure company in less than 12 months. And
wow.
Proposed to be just incredible. And so from that, we've opened up everything from coffee shops and juice bars and multiple locations. We were a multi-unit owner in Subway, and we own a lot of real estate. We got into the retail sector, the single-family home sector. Over the years, we've owned dance schools and restaurants and
nice.
All kinds of different stuff.
A lot of variety.
and so over the course of time, we got involved in real estate in 2000. And I'll tell you, in the last 20 years, the real estate sector has really proven to be our core of all of our asset base and everything. But it's been the cash flow of our businesses that have really shown to be the strength behind absolutely everything.
That's awesome. So you just said that you got accidentally involved in construction. Can you tell me how that happened? Did somebody just give you like a foot in the door, or how did you come about to get into that?
So it's a funny story. I don't really tell that story too often, but I'll tell you what happened was I was in Austin, Texas, and I was actually running sales reps around in a neighborhood in a renowned neighborhood out in Austin. And there was this guy every single Saturday when we drop off sales reps. I'd run around in a van, I'd drop sales reps off and go around, pick them up. And I'd even go out and sell myself. And I used to see this guy in a little pickup truck with lawnmowers, and he had it down to like an assembly line of perfection. This guy would jump out. These guys would go mow lawn, throw it back in the truck, and go back to work. Well, when I came back and I was back in school, I thought, okay, what can I do where I can continue building wealth for myself and still go to school, make some money.
Right.
And I had residual income coming in still from when I was in Texas. So making a living wasn't an issue. I wanted to do something to advance myself. And so I thought, I put numbers together on a piece of paper and said, what if I put a little lawn service together and just made an extra $2,000 a month that I could deploy into the stock market? And I was day trading at the time.
Nice.
On my old Nextel phone, the little push to talk Nextel phone.
Yes.
And so I would day trade on that thing, and I would sit there fighting with it. And I thought, okay, I can just put more money and deploy more money into day trading if I put this little lawnmower company together. And that's how I got involved. And I landed up at a customer's house. And when she went to go change the pamper to her baby, she goes, can you guys do this for me? And there was like concrete work and a bunch of landscape work on there. And I'll tell you, I took a copy of it. We didn't have cell phones and smartphones back in those days. Right. So I sat with a notepad, writing everything down, transcribing it. And I got on the phone the next day and started calling supply houses. And I broke down numbers. I said, holy cow, I can make X amount, whatever it was at the time. And I could probably do this job in 2 days and make $1,000 in 2 days doing this project. And at that time, that was still a lot of money. For most people today, that's a lot of money. So I went in and I did the job for those folks, and I made more money than I had anticipated. And so I started duplicating that, and I decided to go get my contractor's license. And I had a nothing to lose, everything to gain mentality. I felt like I had just lost everything from our company shutting down and the FTC shutting us down. I kind of felt like I was at a point of failure coming back home, having to finish my degree. Yeah. And so I had nothing but upside to see in my life at that time. And I literally bid projects as if I had everything to win, nothing to gain, and everything to win, nothing to lose. And with that mentality, I went out and with that much force, we created a little monster in 1 year that excited me, and we netted strong six figures in the first year in business.
That's amazing. For your first year in business in a brand new field, something you kind of stumbled upon, but you had that go-getter, crush 'em entrepreneur attitude. How did you maintain that mindset? Like, do you have any success hacks or mentality tips that you can give our listeners to kind of...
Yeah, that's key. I think even to this day, that's key, was that I had a solid 4.5, 5 years of brainwashing. When I say it like that, it's because of all the stuff that we're born with, right? Go to school, get a job, get an education, go out and duplicate that. Well, look, understand that in what we're doing, in everything that we do as business people and entrepreneurs, one of the biggest things is putting yourself in a position for self-education. Yep. And when I got involved in direct sales and network marketing, not knowing the field at all, never being involved in really like solid sales before, the person that got me involved said, Jerome, you need training. And I went to training, and I forced myself to go to more training. And when I felt like I was failing, I wanted to quit, wanted to give up, they would tell me, you got to go get more training. Yep. And I'll tell you, I was literally in a different city across the United States almost every weekend for 4 years. Wow. And when you have that much training going into your brain, it lives in you. I mean, I had cut out, and people don't have to go to this extent, I don't think, but I did. I cut out TV and music, and I remember just having a little audio cassette player. Yep. I would just have Anthony Robbins stuff going.
The audios.
Dale Carnegie stuff going on audio cassette. And in my vehicles, I would just have audio cassette stuff playing with Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich stuff. Yeah. The founder of our company had cassette tapes, and I literally would just infiltrate that stuff. I'd fall asleep listening to that stuff by my bedside. I'd leave to the office in the morning with it in my cassette player in my vehicle, and coming to the gym, from the office to the office. And I literally inundated my brain with positive mindset stuff that was going in the direction that I wanted to go. Right. And so when you embed yourself with that type of information, knowledge, and education, it lives in you. And it's just like anything. When you hear 14,000 hours of schooling and garbage, it's not going to help you out in life in our educational system. That also embeds in you. And that's why most people are so afraid of what I do for a living. But when you embed yourself with new material and you inundate yourself to replace that, that also lives in you. And so I was able to have that fire in me, even in spite of all of the opposition that I was encountered with. Yep. And it'll always live with me, because now my whole entire life, about 2/3 of it at this point in time in my life have been that, positive reinforcement, education, self-building. And that's really what it takes, is really getting rid of all the old garbage and just allowing yourself the new stuff, the new positive reinforcement stuff that really helps you get around that.
I'm really familiar with that, especially the brainwashing thing that you just said. I, too, was in a network marketing company for a long time, and they trained me in the same thing, listening to audios every day, day in, day out. I cut out, music, friends who weren't on the same path that I was trying to go, if they were out doing the party scene or something like that. It wasn't easy, but I just started distancing myself from them and gave my time to people who were on the right track to success, who were either listening to audios or just knew what they were going after and they weren't taking no for an answer. And it changes you wholeheartedly in every aspect of your life. It's awesome.
Yeah, it sure does. Most definitely. And in a great way, if that's what you're looking for in your life. And this road is not for everybody. That's what's great about where we live in America, and the opportunities that are bestowed upon us is we have the opportunity to do anything we want. For those people that go down this road, I always tell people this is not the easiest road in the world to travel, but it's a road well worth traveling. Yeah, is what you want to do in your life. I always said that you'll look back on these days that you struggle, and as much struggle as you have, you look back and will go, best days of my life. Yeah. Right. And I look back at those days, and I just look back and go, man, the opposition and stuff, they were the best days of our lives. And we've been blessed. I mean, I'll tell you, from that point forward, I don't think that we've ever really struggled financially, outside of going through the recession in 2008, 2010. We had to press hard, but we've been blessed. It's been a great road for sure.
So out of that, have you always known that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Like, from the time you were a kid, did you have any entrepreneurial tendencies? Did you have the lemonade stand? Gary Vaynerchuk talks about his lemonade stands. Did you have something like that set up?
Yeah, we did the lemonade stand stuff. I did trading cards and stuff when I was a kid. And
same.
One of the things that really, I always wanted to work. I was an athlete. I wrestled, but nothing motivated me more than going to work. In fact, I was born in a generation where the you have to be 16 years old law that it holds now wasn't in place when I was 12 years old. So I worked at the minor league stadium for the Dodgers called the Duke Stadium, and I was a vendor, and I used to go sell popcorn and cotton candy. And I was a kid. I knew how I would go out and make my commissions and how much I made per sale. And I had it in my mind what I needed to sell that night to make a certain amount of money. And I also sold newspapers. And so at 11 years old, I was hustling newspapers on a skateboard in downtown Albuquerque on my hands and knees. I couldn't even imagine my 12-year-old son doing what I did at 11. And I just figured the more papers I sold, the more money I made. And I would go into different restaurants and say, hey, can I leave 5 papers? I'll come back this afternoon. Would you mind selling them for me at the cash register? Wow. And I would go put placements of papers in different facilities. And I would just hustle on my skateboard on my hands and knees, little kid looking up at people going, paper, sir, paper. Yeah. And I just knew about commissions and getting paid for your efforts back then. And I saved up enough money to buy a dirt bike for myself. Yep. I saved up enough money when I was 14 going on 15, working at a grocery store, pushing carts to buy my first vehicle that I bought for like $750.
Nice.
Like 1981 Honda Civic. It was
great.
Not the best looking car in the world. It was a hatchback and it was ugly, but I was excited because it was mine and I bought it,
And you earned it. You earned every dollar. It's something about, for me, it was, working these 4 jobs is when I was young, doing my own thing. I did the trading cards. I sold pellet guns to my friends. I'd go to the flea market and buy them in bulk and then sell them out to each of my friends for regular retail price. And I'm getting them wholesale. And I was able to buy things like, bikes and eventually my first car and things. And it's knowing that, your friends have that nice new car that their parents bought, but you know how to earn your car, so you know how to earn more over time, so you're going to be better off, and it somehow at a younger age that you're better off that way.
Yeah, I had that sock full of cash in my in my sock drawer at the house, and
Yeah.
I'd roll it up and I'd save that cash. And even when I went to college, I had a sock full of cash.
Wow.
And I remember my parents asking me when I went to college, they're like, okay, so you got this scholarship, you're going to go live in the dorm rooms. How are you going to make a living? And I was like, well, I got X amount of money saved up. And I literally had a roll of cash from working at the grocery store and tinting windows and doing car stereo installations for friends and buddies. And I didn't do anything for free. I charged everybody for everything, whether it was me trading a year's supply of haircuts with a barber, which I did. I'd tint the windows on his car, and I'd give him $200 worth of tint, and he'd give me $200 worth of haircuts.
That's fair. I like it.
And so I learned how to bargain with people and trade and barter since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And yes, that definitely, I think, was something that was embedded into me, and I was born with it. God just kind of gave to me and has helped me through my journey as well.
Did you get that from your parents, or did you just kind of born with it innately, like blessed?
I have a hard time saying that. I mean, my parents instilled education in me.
Yep.
And education. My parents didn't come from wealth by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I'd say that they came from more of on the lower end of the financial spectrum. I wouldn't call it poverty by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely the lower end of the totem pole in regards to finances.
Yeah.
And they weren't entrepreneurs. They believed in education because that's what, they felt changed their life, and they provided for us very, very well. We lived in a great middle-class household. They put us in private education, and they worked hard for everything they did. In fact, but no, I've never had my parents' support. Even to this day, they, as much money as we make, isn't about money for them.
Right.
They don't understand the entrepreneurial life.
I
They
gotcha.
don't understand why I work so hard doing what I do. And I'll tell you, my dad is an accountant. He was an accountant for 32 years. And my dad has done my books all the way up until 2 years ago. And he's seen the revenue that we generate. He's seen the asset base that we've created. And still to this day, he doesn't understand it.
That's
so
crazy.
I don't know that I got it from my parents. I think it's just something I was born with.
That's awesome.
And I tasted it at a young age. And we're all born uniquely. God makes us all different, for sure.
Yep. So do you have kids of your own, a wife, I'm assuming?
Yep. Yeah, I got wives and kids. I got 2 kids, a son and a daughter. My daughter's 9, and my son just turned 12 last week.
Awesome.
And my wife, we've been together since 1998. And we've had a great run together, and we've been married for the last 13 years, going on 14 years.
That's amazing. So how do you find work-life balance? I know you have a passion for what you do, but do you ever find it difficult to find time to spend with your family and still get work done, or how do you balance everything?
I have a conscience, I think that most people, we can be addicted to anything in life, right? You can get addicted to drugs, substance abuse, alcohol, work, and everything. This lifestyle can be very, very addictive.
Mm-hmm.
So in life, anything in excess is bad for you. You can drink too much caffeine and kill yourself with diabetes, right? You can eat too much meat and kill yourself. Anything that you do in excess, you can. So one of the big things is finding that balance, and you got to be consciously aware of it all the time. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm the best at it.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a team. It takes teamwork. It takes a partnership for sure. You need to have a spouse that supports you. And but on the same note, you got to find that balance as well and listen to them when you've pushed them too far.
Yeah.
And so we listen to each other. I know when I've pushed my boundaries and I'm doing way too much, and she's very apparent to letting me know that, but she's also very open and willing to let me do as I do, because I've always put us in a good position.
Mm-hmm.
And so it does take a balance, and you've got to be aware of that balance, not be selfish in it. And so we just work at that daily, and it's important to be aware of it. And it is important to work at it daily and not be self-fulfilled and greedy in your own time and what you're doing. You got to find that balance.
Yep, I agree. And it's one of the questions I always like to ask, because everybody's always got like a different perspective on how they handle it. And I think yours is a great response. We talked earlier about some hardships that you've encountered in business, the recession, for instance. How have you been able to come out of that? What's some wisdom or clarity that you've gotten out of, hard business mistakes or just hard business endeavors?
Yeah. And I'll say more than a business mistake. I think sometimes, and right now is a good time to explain this to people, because I think we are at a high end of a market. I see people getting very selfish in their ways, and very greedy in their demeanor. And it's important. I told people the best thing that comes out of a recession is loyalty and humble attitudes, right? And I'll tell you, the recession was humbling because I was guilty as charged. I would sit on my high horse and show up to the office in Converse and flip-flops and thinking I was half retired, doing what I did, calling the shots with customers and calling the shots with brokers and with my purchases on my real estate, and thinking that Jerome was the king of business, right? That I was the end of all end and I was indestructible, and that the more money I made, the more money I was going to continue making, and that nothing was going to stop me. In fact, I lived in denial from 2007 because the recession really started in 2007. Yep. It's just that people were in denial for a whole couple of years, right?
Yep.
We were really affected by it in December of 2000. It started affecting us at the end of October of 2008 with the banks coming down, not wanting to fund the finishing up of projects that we had going on. And we really felt it financially in December of 2008, moving into January of 2009. And I'll tell you that when you're making an income of over 6 figures a month, and it goes down to less than 5 figures a month in 1 month, that's a great indication that things are not going well in the economy, and it's extremely humbling. And so, when you get to that perspective, that things are beyond your ability to control, right?
Right.
And so once I understood that in January 2009, I remember turning to my wife and telling her, look, we need to figure out which properties we're willing to let go of, because we can't sustain this past like March or April or whatever it was. We can sustain this for a few months, but we literally had 5 figures in debt we were servicing every month, $50,000 a month in debt because projects just halted.
Yeah.
And they were projects that would typically we would turn and we'd recuperate our capital. And although we had a great asset base of net worth around us, our cash flow was seized temporarily. And so I remember turning to her and say, we got a budget. We can't be going out to eat like we do. And it was the first time in over a decade that we had ever felt like this. And I'll tell you, we put our head down. And when you humble yourself to get back to your roots, make sure your roots are strong. And I tell kids this all the time. When we had our Subway stores, and I told my managers this, I tell the employees this, and they look at me like just a boss, right? They just mean like, okay, here's this jackass person that's rich, and he's going to tell me how to live my life.
He doesn't know anything about it.
Listen to me.
Yeah.
But I tell people this in all sincerity. I tell them, look, life is not a light switch. I have the same talk with my children. You don't work half-ass your whole life and then you just switch on a light switch and say, I'm going to be great today.
Right.
Okay. It's life habits that you incorporate forever. And that's really who makes you what you are. And so if you sustain good work ethic and great habits early in your life, when downturns happen, then you can reincorporate those and fine tune who you are again, and then in knowing who you are and how you got there, you can rekindle that work ethic and know the recipe and get back to work. And that's what I did. I put my sales hat back on for the construction company. I was bidding everything. I became a residential estimator again. I went back to work because my closing rate was significantly better than any person that we had working for us. And I put an attitude in my mind that I said, look, I'm going